Well, I came here December, I believe, 18th, and I was in pretty bad shape. I had just had a hemorrhagic stroke. Left side was paralyzed, no movement. And I heard this was the best place to be. It was close to my home. And I was able to move, have the hospital I was at, which was in Bangor, and they were able to move me here, which was the best thing in my recovery. And when I came here, I was excited because I knew I was going to get better here. I was here for 5 weeks. About the 4th week, I had some leg movement, and my rehab team was able to come up with a plan to get me walking so I could go home. And that was the best thing. Just a normal bathing, getting dressed, you know, your normal routine, walking, which was the big one. Physical therapy. Yep. That was twice a day, well, half-hour sessions. Yes, I would. But this is a place to be. I mean, they're family-oriented. I mean, the food's good. The people that work here are great. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better recovery place.
Extremely well. They were very good to me. I stayed with Jamie the entire time that he was here. I stayed in his room. They were so accommodating, and they were extremely open to my participation, particularly in the beginning when we did a lot of occupational therapy and did a lot of the real basic standard stuff for, you know, showering, dressing. You know, at that time, Jamie was really quite limited on left side, if anything. They were always inclusive and asked my opinion, involved me, and never ever did they take him and just go. It was always, you know, do you want to participate? And that was really important, I think, for me and for Jamie. It really helped a lot in the recovery process. It was a process from the beginning. Things were, you know, different than certainly when we left. There was a lot of progress made. I feel that the occupational therapy and the physical therapy were both really critical. Occupational at that time, because the stroke was so fresh, because he was so limited at that time, it was really, really important to be able to sit together and, as a team, as husband and wife, learn together on how can Jamie be independent, and, you know, how can I help him without, you know, hindering him. And that was occupational in the beginning was really, really large in my opinion, but physical therapy was certainly critical and, you know, progressive. They were both teams were just incredibly open, very, very involving, and they even let our daughters come in and participate in physical therapy with Jamie, so that they knew and could see firsthand what his progress was and how can we help him, and show us different stretches that we could do to help him with his progress. And that was really important to us as a family. I felt prepared and certainly ready. We'd been here for a long stay. Despite all of the assistance we received, it was still quite nerve-wracking because I wasn't going to have help if I needed it, and it really felt like a big responsibility for me. But when we got home, you know, things went really smoothly. The team, the occupational and physical therapy team, also visited our home prior to Jamie's release date, so that they could see what the accommodations were at home and how, if there were anything that we needed special accommodations for. We were quite fortunate because we were, we had a single story home, and it was really set up quite well for his return to home. And once we got there, it was certainly an emotional, time. Jamie left. We were here for 5 weeks, but we were also in intensive care for 10 days prior to that. So he was gone from home for 6 weeks without one single visit to come home to that. So we did feel prepared and confident and extremely grateful that we were able to make that leap to go home. It was a gift. Absolutely, because when you go through something so life-changing, it's really important to be surrounded by people who have a vested interest. And we had an extended stay here, maybe compared to some people because of the severity of Jamie's stroke, but the involvement that they provide you and the family support that they encourage was just extraordinary. And part of the reason that we wanted to be here is because we live locally, and intensive care was in Bangor. It was really straining for families to visit and get the support we needed. So it felt really good to come home, and this really felt like home for a period of time for us. Everybody knew us by name and treated us kindly, respectfully, and it was just a really welcome environment during one of the most turbulent times in our life. And the support that we received here was really second to none. The staff, the therapists, everybody was just wonderful and made us smile during the day when we were in a really tragic time.
As soon as I got to the rehab, it was night and day. It was nice that everybody was on the same page as far as their approach. Even getting out of bed or into bed or everything else that goes with it. It was a huge difference. And I think the positivity is what hit me first. That it didn't seem, when people came in, they didn't look at you with that concerned look. They were just like, yeah, so yeah, you're going to feel a little sad, or this is going to happen, and that's perfectly okay. So it gave you permission to truly experience your own emotions and not feel like you had to mask anything, which is really difficult to do. Every person that I worked with, truly, if it was something that they tried and it didn't work that correctly, then, as a team, they would all meet and say, let's try this instead. And so a lot of the problem solving wasn't done just by one person. It was done by the team, which was huge. And then also the various things as far as, like when I had pains, they didn't just write it off as pain. They said, well, let's see what we can do to get rid of the pain. I had hurt my back years ago, fractured washing windows, and it re-injured somehow in here at rehab. And I couldn't stand, I couldn't move, I couldn't get out of the fetal position. And they called in the OMTs, which was something that I had no idea about beforehand, who they were, what they did, the doctors, and it was like a miracle. And so since then, I've been seeing one every, at least twice a month. But that was huge. So they really, my concerns were their concerns, which was very nice. Also, very supportive of my family when they came in. And it was a hard time with COVID. It was very challenging because it was a very scary experience, not knowing or expecting ever to have this as a problem. I was waiting for my poor mother. We were all worried about her, and it's like, oh, now they're taking care of me somewhat. but it was realistic, encouraging, supportive, and as much as something can be positive, it was in a very non-positive situation, I guess you could say. And I always felt that I could ask them anything, everybody here, and that they would take me seriously and truly try to answer the question. And if they didn't know what to do, they would find somebody who did. So it's, you know, I would recommend this place wholeheartedly. It turned things around greatly for me. I felt like I was able to, we did the home visit, which was huge, and I felt that I was able to be all right at home, having visited and seeing that I was able to maneuver around. I mean, I had to change furniture, rent a bed for a temporary part, but they were all part of it. Like, they took care of that. I mean, you know, nothing was left up to me to have to arrange, which was also huge because it was the whole experience was very overwhelming. So to know that somebody else took care of the wheelchair and the bed rental and all I needed to do was just rally my family and friends to move things and, you know, store things for me, was huge. And the one nemesis were the stairs in my house, because my bedroom and the bathroom with the shower is upstairs. And so, you know, that was the one thing all my therapists said, "What, you have some time, what do you want to work on?" And I was like, stairs. I've got to be able to do the stairs. And so that was good, because I left here saying, I can do those stairs. I know I can. And, you know, so that was nice as you're sitting in there taking a shower, like, whew, I can't imagine if I wasn't able to do that. But yeah, I think overall I prepared, but you don't really know what to expect once you get home in that new world. But they also, I mean, gave me numbers, I mean, the personal cell phone numbers, the doctors did, you know, like if you have any questions. And so there are a couple of things I did have to call and ask for help. And they were like, call this person, I'll get right back to you. So it continued even when I was home. That I always felt like, you know, if I have a question or this is not working, I knew I had somebody who knew what to do to call on and didn't feel like, oh, I don't want to bother them, you know. It was quite funny when I did call a few times, you know, I was passing the phone around talking to different people that, you know, I hadn't seen. So that was nice. It kind of becomes a family in a lot of ways. The use of the hand was my most challenging at the time, because I'm a school teacher and I'm right-handed and it was my right side. So being able to get as much use of my hand as possible was huge. And I think they did a really good job exercising, showing me things that I could do on my own. Always left things, if I asked, what can I be doing while I'm not working with you? So I always had things that I could be working on outside of that. When they first came down there and they said, okay, we're going to get you up and walking. And it was like, you can get me up and walking. I mean, okay. And they did. And so that was really positive and hopeful, because you really get in a dark place at times and it's like, how am I going to do this? And I'm only, you know, 57 years old and wow. So just getting up and walking and I mean, using the equipment in here, you know, the treadmill and the bicycle and stuff, it was like, wow, I'm going to do that? Really? So, yep. And I did. So that was, you know, that was helpful. And then, you know, truly with the pain, the DOs that came in, they were a godsend, because it seemed like I'm not used to using the left side, so the left side would start hurting and they'd come in and work their wonders on the left side, and then it was like, okay, now my hand hurts. So I don't know how they do it. I still don't, but they do it well. So that was nice that they just said, well, we're going to try this for you and see if that helps. But every little thing that I experienced, they took seriously. And they validated my feelings, you know, when I was depressed and crying. That's okay, you know, that's to be expected. So you didn't have to feel like you always had to put on a brave face that you feel like you have to a lot of times when you get out of here. You know, that you don't want to stress people out, so you know, suck it up and, yeah, everything's great, you know. But in here, you could just relax and be allowed to feel everything that you were feeling and know that it was okay. I would definitely recommend. I have one of my very good friends that I teach with. Her father just had a stroke, and they ended up in Portland, life flighting him. But you know, they were like, "We really want to get him back in this area, or trying to get him in Augusta. What do you think of the rehab there?" And I'm like, "By all means, you know, get him there. It's all but positive." And I really do think. I mean, everybody in here was very positive. You know, that you felt like you were getting all that you could be getting or should be getting. And on the outside world, you know, you question that still, like, should I be pushing for more of this, or give me something else to do? But in here, that wasn't a question. It was just like, it was a relief to give that up to somebody else and just know that they were doing the best for you that they could do.
I would say my experience, rehab experience here at MaineGeneral, was just phenomenal. I was, right from day one, I felt welcomed. I was broken, but they loved me anyway. And I was welcomed, and I feel like the staff between nursing and the therapists and the doctors are all very collaborative. And I just felt they're very attentive and educational. They work you through the process, explain things to you. They keep you informed, and everyone's on the same page when they enter your room. There's no breakage. There's just a steady flow of communication. And so I would say my experience was just wonderful. The atmosphere is very positive and encouraging and exciting. It's just, I would say, just the atmosphere made my stay, because I was here for 4.5 weeks, and the atmosphere made my stay very tolerable, and I just felt loved. And I think that the staff is not just dedicated, but they're devoted to what they do. I remember apologizing once for not being able to do something for myself, and the nurse right off said, you don't have to apologize. We're here because this is what we want to do. They make you feel like you're a team member. Like you're a member of their team. You feel very included, and you just don't feel like you stayed here. You kind of feel like you lived here. They just take care of you in every way. Medically, physically, mentally and emotionally. They take care of you in every way. I felt that I had a voice in my plan of care. And every question or concern that I had or need that I had was met with no question or judgment. And it was met with understanding and compassion and empathy. So that we had a family meeting, and they always kept my family involved in all the information and the plans. So we had a family meeting and discussed what we would do leading up to the discharge as far as ordering equipment and making sure that the equipment was there for me when I got home. And they also had family come in for family education in ways that I did need help. They discussed my medications with me, gave me a lot of tips to stay safe at home. And yeah, there was just a constant flow of just nursing and therapists and the doctors, just constant flow of the education and the tools that I needed to be successful at home. I would say probably the vital stim for speech therapy and the exercises for speech therapy. I would say one huge thing for me was the therapy to help me walk, because I'm a walker, and I think my second week here we were devising a plan to get me on my feet, and yeah, I think that what stands out to me the most, because it's a quality in my life, and it's helped me gain that quality. Absolutely, a million times over. The professionalism in the rehab unit is outstanding. The collaboration is phenomenal. They customize the plan of care to the individual, and they are devoted to helping you reach your goals, to your recovery and success. I think the great thing also about the rehab unit at Maine General in Augusta is that it's centralized. It's accessible from all directions, and it helps family when they come to visit to stay longer, because they don't have to drive 2 hours to get there.